Let's get right into it. Number 6. Get the lead out. In 1954, TV ads proudly declared that ethyl gasoline puts a tiger in your tank. What they didn't mention, ethyl was basically lead, the same stuff that makes paint chips dangerous. But this wasn't just any lead. This was tetraethyl lead, and the companies selling it knew exactly how dangerous it was. Back in the 1920s, when they first started making this stuff, workers at the factory started going crazy. They called it the loony gas building. Workers would hallucinate, dance around like they were possessed, then drop dead. Instead of stopping production, the companies just launched one of the biggest cover-ups in advertising history. They hired doctors who claimed lead was perfectly safe. These doctors were getting paid to say exactly what the companies wanted. The companies knew that kids were especially vulnerable to lead poisoning. Internal documents showed they were tracking rising lead levels in children's blood, but publicly, they were still running ads with happy families and a mascot called the ethyl butterfly fluttering around. By the 1970s, cars were pumping out so much lead that scientists estimate every single American had dangerous levels in their blood. An entire generation basically got low-key poisoned because some executives wanted to make more money. It wasn't until the 1980s that lead started getting phased out of gasoline, but by then, the damage was done. Studies now show that all that lead exposure probably lowered the average IQ of anyone born before 1980 by several points. Some of the same companies that told us lead was safe are still around today, still running ads, still telling us to trust them. Number 5. The sugar energy myth. Back in the 1950s, sugar companies convinced everyone sugar wasn't just candy. It was basically a superhero in crystal form. The ads were wild. "Sugar gives you energy," they'd scream, usually showing some guy climbing a mountain or a housewife vacuuming with the energy of a tornado. Domino Sugar even ran ads claiming sugar might just help you lose weight. Their logic was amazing. They said sugar would give you a quick energy boost. You'd get so active, you'd burn more calories than the sugar contained. It's like saying eating a whole cake will make you run a marathon. It doesn't work that way. They invented something called the apostat theory. According to this science, eating sugar before meals would trigger your brain's apostat, like a thermostat but for appetite. This magical apostat would tell you you're not that hungry anymore, so you'd eat less at meals. The Great Western Sugar Company went all in on this. They literally advised people to eat a sugar cube before meals to lose weight. Imagine your doctor telling you to eat pure sugar to lose weight. People believed it. Sales of sugar actually went up during diet crazes. This marketing was so effective that we're still feeling its effects today. Energy drinks are basically just sugar water with some caffeine thrown in. Granola bars advertised as healthy have more sugar than a candy bar. That's the ghost of 1950s sugar advertising haunting our shopping carts. Next time you see an ad for a sports drink promising to energize your day, remember, that's just old school sugar propaganda in a modern wrapper. Number 4. Fantastic Plastic. 1954. A Life magazine ad shows a happy housewife tossing plastic plates into the air. The headline reads, "Throw these away after every meal. No more dishwashing ever. Those plates are still out there somewhere." In fact, every single plastic plate ever made still exists. That's because plastic doesn't break down. It just breaks apart into smaller and smaller pieces. Scientists recently found microplastics in human blood for the first time. Those disposable plates from the 1950s, tiny pieces of them might be floating around in your bloodstream right now. Back in the 50s, plastic was marketed as this miracle material. The ads called it clean, sterile, and best of all, disposable. Tupperware parties were all the rage. Women would gather in living rooms to marvel at plastic containers that could keep lettuce fresh for days. Nobody asked where all this plastic would go or what disposable really meant. We bought it. By 1960, the average American was throwing away over 30 pounds of plastic per year. Today, it's more like 185 pounds. Those microplastics are also in our lungs, our placentas, and even in unborn babies. That sales pitch from 70 years ago is still inside you, literally. Number 3. The Perfect Body in a Bottle. 1952. You're flipping through a magazine. An ad stops you cold. Too skinny? You too can have a gorgeous body. But they're not selling weight loss pills. They're selling weight gain supplements. In the 1950s, being skinny wasn't the goal. It was the problem. Companies like Watt-On promised to help you add glamorous curves and gain pounds fast. One ad shows a sad-looking thin woman next to text that reads, "Men wouldn't look at me when I was skinny." These ads were everywhere, selling products with names like ironized yeast that promised to transform you from a skinny scarecrow into a knockout. The science was wild. One ad claimed their product contained concentrated calories that would go straight to all the right places. Another promised their formula had weight-building calories that won't go to waste. That's not how calories work. These same companies that told women to gain weight in the 50s switched to selling weight loss products in the 60s and 70s. Same bottles, same pseudoscience, completely opposite message. It was never about health. It was about making you feel like your natural body was wrong. Too skinny, here's a pill. Too curvy, here's a different pill. Just right doesn't sell products. Turn on your TV or open Instagram. The products have changed, but the message is the same. Your body is a problem, and we have the solution in a bottle. The real problem isn't your body. It's an industry that's been profiting from making you hate it for over 70 years. Number 2. New is always better. It's 1955, and you're flipping through a magazine when you see an ad for a brand new Cadillac. The one in your driveway looks like yesterday's news. Those shiny new tail fins on the 55 model make your 54 look as modern as a horse and buggy. Back in the 50s, companies figured out something brilliant and evil. They could make more money if things went out of style instead of just wearing out. It's called planned obsolescence, and it's basically companies conspiring to make you hate stuff you already own. Every year they'd add bigger fins, more chrome, fancier lights. None of this made the car work better. It just made last year's model look dated. A designer named Brooks Stevens admitted this was the plan. He said they were creating the desire to own something a little newer, a little better, a little sooner than necessary, and we're still falling for it today. Your phone still works fine, but that new model with a slightly better camera makes your current phone feel ancient. Companies in the 50s would brag about this in industry magazines. General Motors openly called it dynamic obsolescence. That's corporate speak for making you feel bad about your perfectly good car. They had studies showing that if they changed the design enough each year, they could pressure people into buying new cars every 2 years instead of every 5. A 1950s advertising executive said, "We must consume more and keep consuming, or our magnificent economic machine may turn and devour us." That feeling was engineered in a boardroom 70 years ago, and it's still working exactly as planned. Number 1. Nutritional insurance in a pill. Your grandparents are obsessed with vitamins because of a 1950s advertising trick. Vitamin companies convinced an entire generation that their daily meals weren't good enough. One-a-day vitamins ran ads saying, "Your food may be robbing you." They claimed modern food processing was stripping away all the good stuff. The ads showed a worried mom staring at her dinner table, wondering if she was starving her family. For just pennies a day, you could buy nutritional insurance in the form of their pills. This wasn't based on any real science. Most Americans in the 1950s were eating better than ever before, but the vitamin companies knew something clever. You can't see vitamins. You can't feel them working. This invisible threat was perfect for selling an invisible solution. They even got doctors to endorse their products. In 1955, Life magazine ran an ad with a doctor in a white coat saying, "Even my own family needs vitamin supplements." By 1956, half of all American families were buying vitamins regularly. This wasn't just clever marketing. It literally changed how we think about food. They convinced us that natural food somehow isn't natural enough. Modern studies show that unless you have a specific deficiency, most vitamin supplements just give you expensive pee. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.